Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today let's talk about trap bar deadlifts. Trap? Trap? Did you say trap?
It's a trap!
That doesn't sound good. Now, trap bar deadlifts can be a great alternative to the deadlift, although they are not exactly the same exercise, because the weight is moving in a totally different pattern, right? Because as you do a trap bar deadlift, your hands are at the sides of your legs instead of in front, so that will put a little bit more stress on the legs instead of on the back. Like when you do a traditional powerlifting deadlift, the weight is forced in front of you because it's a bar. So that forces the lower back to come into play more so. Now, this can work for or against you. Some people are using so much lower back in their powerlifting deadlift because of the way that they are built that they're either forced to go to a sumo type deadlift or they go to a trap bar deadlift. Also, not to be confused with trap beat, because trap bar and trap beat, different things. Or they go to a trap bar deadlift where they feel like they can use a little bit more legs, because let's face it, sometimes you can make a weak part even more weak. And what I mean by this is that if your lower back is already the weak link in most of your training, sometimes if you work the lower back too much, it'll just hold you back in the rest of your training, such as your lower back's always sore, always tired, and then your legs can't get pushed when you're doing a squat workout because your lower back is so fatigued that you're not necessarily getting a balanced physique from it. So this is really important when it comes down to bodybuilding. Bodybuilders want to make sure that they're working those main muscle groups. So every exercise they're getting, they're actually working the most or the highest percentage of muscle mass that contributes to their growth on stage. So sometimes if you're overworking the lower back or just straining it or injuring it, worst case scenario, because you're doing such an extreme range of motion for your body type, it can work against your bodybuilding goals. So in this case, a trap bar deadlift might be the right thing for you. Now for me, I find trap bar deadlifts don't necessarily work well for me because just because the way I'm built, long femurs and all that, I'm forced to bend over so much so when I do a trap bar deadlift that it just does not feel right. And bringing the knees more over the toes, again, that doesn't feel right for my body type either. So when I use the trap bar deadlift, I find that it's really like a lot like a deadlift for me from the floor. So I can do it, but I find that I'd rather just spend my time doing Romanian deadlifts or squats. It feels like a more efficient way to use my body in order to gain the most amount of muscle mass possible. So that's my thing. It doesn't mean that it has to be your thing. If you have a little bit longer arms than I do, or maybe shorter femurs or whatever, I mean, the trap bar deadlift might be right. Now, one thing that I could do is that I could put that trap bar deadlift up on blocks and raise it up a bit and use it kind of like a rack deadlift. Like a lot of people use rack deads for deadlifts, like they just lift the weight off the floor and just have it on the pins on the power rack. Well, I could do the same thing with a trap dead, and it might be actually perfect for getting a really good leg pump and all that kind of thing, but I'm kind of lazy. I kind of don't like setting it up. I don't like putting the weights on the bottom, and it just seems like a pain in the ass for me, honestly. Like, I don't necessarily get more benefit. The benefit versus inconvenience is not really worth it. That ratio is just all skewed for me, so that's why you don't see me doing it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do light shoulder press. I did some heavier inclines, so some light shoulder press right now, and then I'm gonna do, are you just like closing up like crazy? It's just useless. I can't use a shot like this. You know that, right?
Yeah, you can.
Really?
Yeah. All right, restart.
Anyway, trap bar deadlifts are definitely a good alternative for people that find that deadlifts themselves are a little bit too challenging on the lower back. They have a real hard time keeping their lower back flat during the standard deadlift. So trap bar deadlift is definitely an awesome compromise. So yeah, if you're having trouble with powerlifting deadlifts, try moving the trap bar deadlifts for a period of time, and then maybe you'll increase your flexibility, and then you can move over to a powerlifting deadlift. Or maybe the trap bar deadlift is the perfect mix of getting a little bit more leg involvement in the movement, and that way you get more bodybuilding gains. So it's definitely worth a try. So just because I don't use it doesn't mean you should. So I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Have you become a Patreon yet?